Well, this January transfer window has been the quietest on record. An absolute fraction of the money spent during the last January transfer window. Going into the final day, less than £100 million had been spent by Premier League clubs. Now, that last January was over £800 million. So it gives you an idea as the real drop-off in terms of spending by the Premier League clubs over the last month. Now, the reason for that is that the Premier League's PSR rules, profit and sustainability rules, FFP's gone, it's now PSR. They're the reason why clubs are finding it so difficult to spend money. And the reality is that over a period of 3 years, clubs are only allowed to rack up losses of £15 million. Now, with owner injection, that can rise to £105 million. But £15 million over 3 years really is a tight headroom for a lot of clubs. Now, why are some clubs spending money this month and some clubs aren't? Well, Tottenham, for instance, they sold Harry Kane last summer for an initial fee of £82 million. Now, Harry Kane is a player that was homegrown by Tottenham, is classed as a pure profit transfer. So that £82 million that Tottenham received is pure profit on their book. So it enabled them, with the money they earned from the Premier League last season and the European competition, to have a real kind of kitty of money to spend. So other clubs, Arsenal, for instance, they spent over £200 million last summer on the market in terms of Kai Havertz, people like that. And the situation at Arsenal is that they didn't bring enough money in. So they've got to the January window with a real possibility of breaching the PSR rules. So if you look at it in layman's terms, it's like in the summer window, it's like the end of last season is like payday. You know, end of a week, you get your pay packet, and that pay packet is supposed to last you until you get paid again. That's what happens in the summer. The Premier League clubs get their money from the Premier League earnings. They get all their sponsorship revenue coming in, and that is when they can spend money. Clubs like Arsenal, Manchester United spent basically all of their money in the summer. They've got nothing left to spend now. Tottenham, for instance, and Man City, who've had a quiet window and obviously made lots of money winning the Champions League and the Premier League, have had a bit more headroom to spend. So those clubs that have been able to bank money up, offload players that were homegrown players, can spend a bit more money. The other clubs don't want to risk their financial fair play, FFP, PSL, whatever you want to call it. Their regulations will breach what Everton have done, in the sense that Everton now have a 10-point penalty for breaching those rules over 3 years. Everton and Nottingham Forest face other penalties after being charged by the Premier League recently. So that's why clubs this month are really reluctant to spend money. They don't want to spend money they haven't got. They want to wait until the summer when, again, that money will come in. Payday, end of the season will come in. They'll get their Premier League earnings money. They'll get their potential, get more players out, hopefully for them, homegrown players. It's why Chelsea have been so keen to offload homegrown players in recent windows. Mason Mount went last summer. They've been taught this window of Conor Gallagher going to Tottenham, despite the fact that Maurizio Pochettino really wants him to stay at the club. Armando Broja may end up at Fulham. It's all about homegrown players making almost a jackpot transfer for clubs that want to get money in. So it's been a quiet window, but certainly for the next year or two, while clubs adjust to these new rules, it's going to be the situation where January itself is going to be very quiet, because they'll spend a lot of money in the summer when it's easier and probably better to get players in. And January is just going to be left for clubs that have had a good summer in terms of bringing people in, or are really desperate and they can't afford not to sign players. But it's been a very quiet window, nothing like last year, and it's going to be like that for another couple of Januaries, certainly for the time to come.